down to a skeleton crew and sailing south from the Temotu Province of the Solomon Islands to Vanuatu. We brought our expedition to a close yesterday with a return visit to Buma, the first village we worked with and the last. Now we have almost 400 miles of open ocean ahead of us to reach Port Vila. We hope to arrive before Thanksgiving so we can have a proper celebration. Each of you believed in me and believed in the importance of this work, and I am very happy to let you know that you made the right call. This project has been a tremendous success. When I was in New Zealand, first preparing for this expedition, putting together the methodology, creating the appropriate government relationships, and learning as much as I could about where we would be working, I kept referring to the communities as towns. The director of OceansWatch, Chris Bone, corrected me more than once. They're villages, Britt, not towns. And right he was. These islands, these people, this ocean, are a world apart from the commerce, houses, and velocity that epitomize so much of the planet now. But maybe what has struck me most is how incredibly human and similar we all are, despite the vast differences between our cultures, customs, and day-to-day lives. The eve of my birthday, we navigated through the reef fringing Vanikoro in the dark. It had taken us 36 hours to sail here from Lata, the provincial capital. Chris knows the channel well. I woke at dawn to a deserted bay ringed by forested mountains. The only building as far as the eye could see was one lonely fishing hut made of thatch, standing on a small island among the mangroves. We had visitors. 3 girls in a dugout canoe had paddled out to deliver a letter from the chief of Buma, the village that had asked us to work with them here. He welcomed us and warned us not to swim in the bay. It's riddled with saltwater crocodiles that can grow from 10 to 25 feet long. No joke. We dinghied into the village. This was definitely not a town. The provincial capital barely qualifies as a town with its 2 dirt roads and a small handful of hole-in-the-wall shops. There is no doctor at the hospital there. The closest lab for blood work is almost 500 miles away in Honiara, and they send most of their tests to Australia for analysis. In Buma, maybe 20 grass and thatch homes, actually made from mangrove and sago palm, were clustered on the beach with fruit trees and flower gardens scattered among them. A steep slope behind the village rose up into the forest and jagged ridges beyond. Life here continues on much as it has for thousands of years. Christianity has been mixed with custom, traditional religion, and social rules. People wear clothes now, though they may be a little threadbare, but people still only have what they can coax out of the earth and catch from the thousands of miles of open ocean and fringing reef that surrounds them. Maybe 2 months after cyclone, disaster supplies of rice and flour may arrive from the capital. These people are on their own. The idyllic landscape, with bubbling laughter of naked children doing backflips into the water at every chance they get, and that have an endless ability to keep themselves entertained, can be transformed overnight by cyclone winds that flatten all of the houses. Luckily, these houses are easy and free to rebuild, and the entire community helps. Salt spray and storm surge that can destroy all the food in their fields, spring tides that flood the entire village, and warm water that can bleach their reef and damage their fisheries in just the span of a few days. In Buma, Sarah, Tina, Jocelyn, Chrisma, Don, Joseph, Chief Chris, and everyone else in the village, their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and countless generations before them have dealt with challenges like these. They have learned to survive the tsunamis, the storms, the droughts. But science shows that climate change will make all of these challenges that much worse. My role here has been to work with villagers to understand what climate change is, what challenges they have faced in the past, and what challenges they will face in the future, given the changes in climate, including increased intensity of storms, unpredictability of planting seasons, increased intensity of rain eroding the soil, drought, and changes in air and ocean surface temperatures. Based on what we all learn, I then help them make a plan of the immediate actions they can take to protect their village and their children now and far into the future. The goal is to help them understand the issues, understand what they can do to help themselves, and fire them up to do it. Aside from new knowledge and maybe a few more resistant crop varieties, these solutions are actions that the community can do on their own without relying on anyone from the outside, and without creating any dependence on aid. And as much as we possibly can, we assure that solutions will help them build up the culture that keeps them strong instead of trying to show them that any other way is better. Through workshops and discussions, the villagers of Buma decided to 1. Protect the village from storm surge and cyclones by replanting mangroves and another local soil-retaining plant called ule along the coast. 2. To talk with the villagers about moving the houses back from the rising seas. 3. To plant more fruit trees higher up so that they will be prepared and continue to have fruit when saltwater has damaged the trees in the village. And 4. To find a solution to the erosion and landslides that are happening because a growing population and limited flat land has forced them to plant their fields on steep slopes behind their homes. Finding a solution to this last goal was left up to me. I promised that I'd learn what I could. I left Buma beaming. The process was a success. The community understood their vulnerabilities and, as a community, had come up with an action plan. As we left, one of my teammates warned, "Don't get too excited, Britt. Just because they have a plan doesn't mean they'll do anything once you leave." He wasn't telling me something I didn't already know, but the entire process I had designed was intended to build local capacity to take on climate change, so I was just going to have to wait and see if it worked. I left Buma hopeful, but having no way to know what would happen in the village after the sails of our boat, Anna Rose, disappeared over the horizon. I've continued to pilot the program these last 2 months. In Buma and Nideli, I worked with villagers through the entire process, coming up with a climate change adaptation plan with actions, pick people to take responsibility for each action, steps, timelines, and a way to monitor the progress made. I have done a presentation on climate change in 2 other communities, talking with them about their experiences, problems, and offering a few initial ideas of solutions. With the OceansWatch team, I have visited a total of 9 villages, each one unique. In each, I have supported our other programs, planted the seed for future OceansWatch climate change work, and offered the knowledge and ideas that I have. I have met with government in Honiara and with other nonprofits to make sure we are all benefiting from each other's work. I have endlessly researched local methods for improving soil, specific plants, and novel and effective approaches to dealing with the challenges faced here. And then there's living on a 50-foot sailboat with up to 7 people at a time, the bureaucracy and disorganization of a burgeoning country, bamboo bands masterfully prying rich notes from PVC pipes, surrounded by dancing and laughing women, myself included, bucket showers on the stern of the boat with salt water, and small mishaps like my flight from Honiara to Lata being delayed by 4 days because the grass at the Lata airport was too tall. The workers, who typically keep it trimmed with bush knives, had let it grow in protest of not having been paid. It's been nothing short of colorful, challenging, inspiring, and honestly, more than a little life-changing. Yesterday I made good on my promise to the people of Buma. The solution for them was vetiver grass to stop erosion with contour planting, paired with a leguminous tree known locally as miracle tree, Gliricidia. Chris and I dinghied into the village, a bit bleary-eyed after the 36-hour sail, laden with a bucket of vetiver and a rice sack overflowing with Gliricidia cuttings. Within an hour, almost 20 of us were in one of the fields behind the village, navigating an extremely steep slope, planted with cassava and sweet potato. From 3 large sticks, some twine, and a giant clamshell, we rigged up a bush level. The villagers took turns practicing as I helped them learn how to mark out the contours for planting the vetiver and miracle tree. By the end of a few hours, we had marked out the contours of the field and planted 13 miracle trees along the slope with vetiver in between, so the villagers could learn how to do it and do the same in all of their gardens. The rest of the cuttings and a nursery for the vetiver were planted in the community, so that, when they mature in a few months, the entire village can get the cuttings they need to stop landslides and erosion in their own fields. But the best part was a moment when several of the villagers, faces split into huge smiles, pulled me aside. "We've planted mangrove, Britt, and ule." They proudly pointed out toward the beach. They had a few questions, but it answered one of my own lingering questions. Did the program work? So far, their smiles and the baby mangrove trees say yes. Thanks to a lot of hard work and your help, it looks like we've managed to do what we set out for. We've helped these beautiful, loving, and friendly people to help themselves. The program will continue without me now, though I hope to come back next year to see the progress that has been made, help them with their next steps, and work with other villages. I hope to bring the same work to other communities around the world that need this type of support. I have seen how important it is, and I have learned that it will work. Sarah, Kennedy, Willie, Krista, Monica, Chris, John, Doreen, Countless others from these islands and I would like to say thank you.